Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about installing parts. So like the first thing that you probably are going to need to do when you want to start a design is add the parts that you need. And the nice thing, you can go in and you can, in the symbol editor, create a new symbol, or in the footprint editor, add in footprints of a part you're interested in manually. But in general, you will never have to do that. There are amazing services where you can request a part and someone for free will make the footprint for you within 48 hours and you can download it and use it. And most parts you will be able to find a footprint for, which is the footprint is really the part that we care the most about for this. So this is just how to install some of these tools and make sure that you can get any part that you may want to use. If you log into tinyURL, I'll just remind you, tinyurl.com/forge drive. It will take us here. And for some reason, uBlock Origin doesn't like it, but okay. It will take us to our Forge drive, and you will find KiCAD parts library tutorial, where I have written down all of the steps you need to follow in order to make this happen. So this is your sort of like go-to guide for exactly how to step through this process. But I'm just going to show you really quickly kind of how this works. So the first thing to know is, you may come across a part on a reference design, which is a common way to want to use parts. You may use an Arduino or you may use another dev kit from a particular vendor, and they will give you a schematic with a bunch of parts that they've put on the Arduino or the dev kit, and you may want to reuse some of them. So you can go in here and you can search in your parts library for that part by its part number, and maybe it will pop up. There's actually probably a good chance that it will pop up. There's lots of parts that are in this thing by default, but it may not. And so that's one place where you might find parts. DigiKey is also the kind of like other place that is the main place you will look for parts potentially. And they have integrated circuits for all sorts of different things. Um, you can, LEDs, whatever, sensors, right? You can find all sorts of really cool little parts that go onto your board here. And if we click on one, we can see we can buy it. This thing is $23. It's an image sensor for a camera. There's a data sheet, right? And we can read about it. And every data sheet is going to give you basically uh, some sort of block diagram, some basic specs, and typically they'll give you a pin table. Uh, and a schematic, although this one does not seem to have that. And it will give you the package. So here's the package with the footprint that we might want to import. So this was actually kind of like not the best example. Let's see if we can find another one that might have multiple packages. Let's see. So here's another one. Let's look at the data sheet for this one. Um, yeah, okay. These cameras are slightly different than a lot of the parts that you will typically get. So maybe let's go look at amplifiers. Um, or let's search for an actual IC part because we want to make sure that we get that. So let's just do like a power regulator or something. Revolt voltage regulator. Here we go. So let's look at a voltage regulator. Let's look at this one. So here's a particular 500 milliamp power supply, and you'll see this is kind of more typical, right? So you'll see the pinouts and exactly what they each do. You'll get a typical little schematic for how to use it a lot of times. So there are other parts you're going to need to add in order to make this work the way you want. You get your pin descriptions. This is very, very typical. Some basic ratings for how the thing works. And then we'll also end up getting packages. And you can see here's exactly how this one comes to us and even a footprint that we might want to use. And for a lot of these parts, it'll actually have multiple packages for the same data sheet. So you might pick different packages depending on what it is. So that's another place we might look to get a part. Okay, so let's say we pick a part, we want to put it in, it's not in our symbol editor. What the heck are we going to do? Well, we need to install this plugin that allows us to go to componentsearchengine.com and download a part, right? So let's first follow some of these instructions. So when we open our KiCAD, we go to Tools, Plugin, and Content Manager. And again, this is something you're only going to have to do once. And here we are at the Plugin Manager. We can search for impartGUI for KiCAD, and you can see I already have it installed. And this works for importing libraries from Octopart, Samacsys, UltraLibrarian, SnapEDA, and EasyEDA. So there's a bunch of different places where we can just quickly download parts. So I'm going to update this, apply changes. So you will install it, close, and then the next thing we need to do is go to configure our paths to make sure that we have a path to where our libraries are going to be saved. So let's, continue to follow our instructions. And so we go to, we're in Firefox. KiCAD preferences up here and configure our paths. And you can see I have added, let's see, you should see an entry for KiCAD. We need a similar version without, we need just like a basic KiCAD third party label. So you can see I have clicked add, I've added KiCAD third party, and then I've just added a folder which I've created in my documents where these libraries will be stored. Okay, so you just click add, you can type KiCAD third party and add in a folder. So it'll look like that. Okay, so we do that. Now we need to do the same thing for the symbols and footprint libraries. So again, we go to preferences, manage footprint libraries, and we want to do global library. And if I had to guess, if we scroll down, yeah, you can see I've now added a Samacsys that is coming from my KiCAD third-party folder, and a SnapEDA that is also going to be stored in my KiCAD third-party folder. So I added these. Is there another one down there? No. So these are the only two I added. Go ahead and just do those two, I would say. Right. So again, this is going to be, we click this little add button. We can now just like type in Samacsys. We type this in, and I've added a description that it's stuff that we've imported from this library. Okay. So a little bit of setup here in order to get this to work. And then we hit OK, and we're happy. All right, cool. So, great. Now we need to restart. So we will quit, and I just updated, so hopefully it works. And now the thing that has magically happened that we expect is if we go into our PCB editor, which we can do by clicking PCB editor, or we can go into a PCB file, we now should have this like really jank little button here that looks like a download. And you can see the update has killed my thing. So that's terrible and very sad. And now I'm going to have to figure out why Python, some version, something about my virtual environment, perhaps. So maybe it's calling a bash script and my bash RC file is causing this to break. I'm not totally sure, but you get this. Oh, and now it's working. So the first time it didn't work, now it's working. And we have this little GUI. So your mileage may vary, maybe it won't. I'm not sure. But we get this little GUI here, right? So that's wonderful. Okay, so how do we use it? So what do? We can go to componentsearchengine.com, or you can go to SnapEDA. So let's go to componentsearchengine.com. Let's say we want to look for this part. We get this. We search. It's going to pop up for us. Look, there it is. We can see that the model has a 3D model and a symbol and a footprint available. Wonderful. So we can just click download. And you may need to make, oh no, I don't think you do need to make a, oh yeah, you do. You need to register. If you have not, sign in. And when you click download, it will download a zip file that will then be in your downloads. Then we can come back to here and we set the folder to wherever we have our download, and we have our library, which matches the library file that we typed in to the third party dialog earlier. So make sure to set these. Once you set them once, they will be there forever. And then you can just click Start, and it will go through your downloads folder and pull any of these zip files and open them and drop them in. So I have now messed up mine, it seems, because of this Python error, because I updated, which is really sad. But you can see it has found some old zip files that I've downloaded before from this thing, and it has attempted to add them to my library. Once it has done that, we should just simply be able to go into our symbol editor and find the part. And so what you'll see with the symbol editor is that we should now have like a SnapEDA tab and or a Samacsys tab, and anything so these are parts that I've downloaded that I needed. And you can see they now appear, and they will have footprints as well associated with them. So that is how we can get any parts for free without having to do any work into our schematic editor. And just to reiterate, once you've done all the setup we just walked through, you can literally just go here and type in the part number and click download, and then go back to our PCB editor, click this button and click start, and it will appear. So it's very, very simple. We just have to download that zip file, go into here and click start, and it should work for us. You may have a bunch of weird errors like what I'm seeing. So just to sort of reiterate a little bit, this is an open source tool, and it is constantly being updated and developed by a community of people. It's really solid, I will say, but there can be a little bit of jank. And so you may need to chat with ChatGPT or otherwise figure out what's going wrong in order to make sure that this works. And you may have to try 1 or 2 times to get it to lock in. But once you have it working, it is amazing. It's so useful and a really wonderful thing. So that is how we can import any parts into our symbol editor to then use in our schematics.